that we're transferring to the next generation. Let me see if I can plead my case, Mr. Woody. Statistics show that 38% of teens who have parents who are smokers will also try smoking. A child who has two parents who are obese has an 80% chance of also being obese. College graduation rates for first-generation college students are dramatically lower than those for second- and third-generation college graduates. What we do has an impact on our children. Although unintentional, we're passing it down.
That's right.
And let's not even talk about the crazy stuff that we do, Isonet. No, you know that as a matter of fact, we need to go on and talk about it because we also have some ridiculous behaviors that we're passing on to our children. So let's not be surprised when our child is rude to the waitress at Applebee's. That was passed down. And don't try to beat them to death because they cussed their teddy bear out. That was passed down. And when they don't respond to you as a parent or act like you're a bother or don't spend time with you like they should, we can't get hot because we got to ask ourselves, how do I act towards my parents and my grandparents? That was passed down. I know. I'm not trying to be hard this morning. I realize that a lot of the stuff we do, we don't even give thought to. Many things that we do have been passed down to us, or they're simply symptomatic of the daily struggle for survival. But I came to challenge us today to be more intentional about what we transfer. I want us to be more deliberate. I want us to be more methodical. I want us to be more purposeful in the things that we pass down, not just to our children, but to one another. We should be methodical in passing down the tradition of supporting small and black-owned businesses. We should be deliberate in passing down the rich and prideful heritage of our race. We should be conscious of passing down the significance of our traditions and our colloquialisms. We should be thoughtful about passing down the pride of our families and our communities. But beyond all, above all, we should be deliberate about passing down the knowledge of the goodness of Jesus Christ. Tell somebody, take one and pass it down. We've got to tell them all about Rosa Parks, but we must be deliberate about telling them about Jesus. There's no excuse for them not knowing about Emmett Till, but we've got to be deliberate about telling them about Jesus. I want everybody to know the story of the courageous Reese Taylor, but we must be deliberate about telling them about Jesus. Let me just send a word of warning in the house. There is a movement in this day and time to deny and negate the authenticity and the relevance of the gospel for our people. I understand that the word of God has been used as a scapegoat many times in history rather than as a salve. But what it has been used for does not change what it was meant for. And if we're not deliberate about passing down its concrete relevance and its infinite truth, it could be lost to the generation that needs it the most. That's why I came this morning with a message of reminder that we all must take one and pass it down. What am I talking about passing down, preacher? What should I be receiving and then sharing, preacher? I come to teach us today that the first thing that we should take and pass down is that God is to be feared. Verse 2 said, as long as you live, you, your children, and your grandchildren must fear the Lord your God. All of you must obey all his commandments and his laws that I'm giving to you, and you will live for a long time. These words that we just read this morning in Deuteronomy are instructions that Moses was given to the children of Israel as they were about to enter into the promised land. These directives were for those who had survived the wilderness wandering for 40 years. Now remember, many of the older ones were already dead. They died while wandering in the wilderness. So most of the remnant, Tasha, that was about to enter into the promised land had not actually witnessed all of the miracles that the children of Israel had experienced. All of them hadn't seen the Red Sea part, and all of them hadn't been there for that first Passover, and all of them haven't seen the water that came from the rock. For many of them, the recounts of God's power in their lives had been passed down from previous generations. So Moses is giving them commands to follow once they enter into the land of Canaan, the promised land. And one of the things that he reminds them of multiple times is that they must fear God. And that this fear of the Lord is a commandment that is imperative to pass down to their children and their grandchildren. They had to take it and pass it down. I want us to be honest in the house today and admit that we really don't act like we fear God. Can I get an amen from somewhere in the corner? Yet we live our lives in front of our children and for the whole world to see as if we have, as the old church said, no fear and trembling. We've grown to be believers that choose to focus solely on God's graciousness but ignore God's holiness. This is why Moses was saying it to the children of Israel. He knew that if they forgot to fear God, then they would begin to stray and compromise to the world around them. Yeah, and I believe that this is what's happening to us, Peter. Rather than fearing God and living as if he should be feared, we conform. We go with the crowd. We become immune to the world's contradiction to the word of God. And we become accessories in that same contradiction. We don't teach our young men that sex out of wedlock is not okay. We teach them not to get caught up and not to get trapped. Yeah, we don't teach our children that pride is ungodly. We teach them to floss and to flex for the grain. We don't teach our young girls that modesty is a virtue. We teach them to turn their backside to the camera and stick their tongues out suggestively. But what we need to be passing down is the fear of God. Amen. What would happen if God began to send out immediate punishment? What would happen if God showed up at this door with fire in his hand? What would we do if God went tit for tat for every sin and he held something back for every one we committed? What we've got to pass down on the job and in our home and to our children and to our friends is that God is to be feared. Is it anybody in the house besides me this morning that knows that if God had not held back, that you'd be in a whole world of trouble? Yeah, I know it doesn't feel so good this morning, but is it anybody here like me that's lived a life that ought to make you scared? Oh yeah, I'm so glad though that although God had the power, he did not use it on me. And do you mind if I take just a moment, because I want to tell God thank you that when he should have snuffed me out, he continued to allow me to live. I just need some people in here that have ever been so bad that you know that it's a miracle that God spared your life. I know it's cold and flu season, so close your head up and fist bump somebody and say, I need to pass it down. How God showed mercy towards me. When he could have let me fall, he held me back up. When I didn't respect his authority, he still kept me safe in those streets. When I acted like I didn't know God's power, he still used that power to hold back the enemy. I need somebody in the house that'll throw your head back and say, I should have been scared. I should have been scared when I was ripping and running. I should have been scared when I was drunk out of my mind. I should have been scared when I couldn't even find my way home. Oh, but I seem to forget, Kelly, that God was to be feared. God is looking for a new generation that's going to pass down the fear and trembling of God. Because when I look to let me live. I don't want to take a moment to thank God that you didn't do what I deserve. Somebody throw your head back and say, take one. Pass it down. The first thing that we've got to pass down to everybody that we can is that God is to be feared. The second thing that we must pass down is that God is the only God.
That's right. That's right.
In verse 4, Moses said, listen, Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is the only God.
The only God.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Another area where we are missing the mark, Rodney, is unintentional idolatry. I mean that I don't think that we're intentionally making things gods in our life, but our actions and our prioritization makes them idols. Yes. And then we pass that unintentional idolatry down to our children. Yeah. We inadvertently show our children and everyone around us, everyone that we could make an impact upon, that any and everything comes before our relationship with God. When we become workaholics and neglect our families for our careers, we pass down ambition as an idol. When we bend over backwards to the whims of these coaches and athletic leagues who have no respect for our time of corporate worship, we pass down recreation as an idol. When we use our love and affection at the church house, but then have no love left in our own house, we pass down churchiness as an idol. But I want to remind us, like Moses reminded the children of Israel, the Lord our God, there is only one God. There's nothing wrong with wanting a better life for yourself, but it can't become a God. There's only one God. There's nothing wrong with basketball, football, soccer, gymnastics, karate, band, cheerleading, or wrestling, but it can't become a God. There's only one God. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with working hard in the church, but it can't become a God. There's only one God. And we must be careful that the clear and undisputable message that we're passing down is that the Lord is God and there is only one. A nice salary is good, OB, but it's not God. And a beautiful home is wonderful, but it's not God. A college education is priceless, but it's not God. And we must be very careful what we elevate to the same place and priority as we do God. Everybody needs to know who we serve and that our relationship with God is exclusive. Come on and tell somebody God is the only one. Can I just let you know what we need to recognize? God is the only one. He's the only one that can make the sun come up in the morning. He's the only one that can send the wind to cool us when it's hot. He's the only one that can put lift in a bird's wings and make it take to flight. He's the only one that can take the ocean and make the tide roll out and the tide come in. I dare somebody to say he's the only one. He's the only one that can make the animals follow their natural order. He's the only one that can make the rain come down in just the right time. He's the only one that can make the thunder roll and the lightning flash. Somebody say he's the only one. Is there somebody in the house today that says, I know that I need to have some respect for God because he's the only one with the power of his kind. Can I just tell you something about God? He's the only one who could have done something with my life. He's the only one who could have changed the road that I was on. He's the only one that could have kept my family when my family was in trouble. Can somebody open up your mouth and say he's the only one? He's the only one that could love a peculiar creature like me. He's the only one that could use somebody who should not be used. He's the only one that could look at me and see something when there was nothing to see. Somebody say he's the only one. He's the only one that can open that door after it was shut in your face. He's the only one that can tell you yes after everybody said no. Somebody say he's the only one. He's the only one that can clean you up, turn you around, place your feet on solid ground. Somebody say he's the only one. I need somebody in the house today. There's some stuff has happened in your life, and you know that it could not have been mama, and it could not have been daddy. And there was only one person who will come through in the nick of time. Even somebody in here like me this morning, that'll say, I remember in 1992, he was the only one. I remember when I was struggling to make it, he was the only one. God cannot be forgotten. Moses said, be careful that you don't forget the Lord. Can I just say that one more time? He said, be careful that you don't forget the Lord who brought you out of slavery in Egypt. Do you know why I'm trying to pass something down? Because I cannot forget the one that brought me out of bondage. I cannot forget the one that freed me from all of my sins. I cannot forget the one that took me and changed my life. We can just fist bump somebody one more time and say, don't let me forget. Don't let me forget where God found me. Don't let me forget where I started from. Don't let me get so bougie I don't remember where I was. Tell somebody else, don't let me forget. Don't let me forget that I was out there struggling. Don't let me forget that I wasn't worth the time he put in. Don't let me forget that he brought me out. Don't let me forget that he brought me out. Don't let me forget that he brought me out. If there's anybody's testimony, then go ahead and throw your head back and say, I'll never forget. I'll never forget. God has been too good for me. God has been too gracious to me. God has been too wonderful to me. And I'll never forget. I gotta pass it down right. I gotta tell somebody. I can't let my story stop here. Because God has been too great. I got to pass it down. Can I just preach to you, kingdom today? Don't allow the world to forget about the power of the God you serve. Don't allow your children to forget about all that God has brought you through. I've got to pass it down because God is going to give me what he promised. Moses said, you're going into this land. God's going to give you what he said you can have. And I just need to remind you that you got to pass your history down. When God brings you out, creature, God said, I just want you to pass it down. When God gives you your desire, we go play on, I dare you to take your blessing and hold it in your hand and look at the person beside you and pass it down and say, you can have this one, baby, because I got another one coming. I dare you to take another blessing and pass it out to somebody. You can have this one, Michael, because we got another one coming. Somebody say, take one and pass it out. Take one and pass it down. Here's a blessing for you, because I got another one coming. Here's a miracle for you, because I got another one coming. I can't keep it under a bushel, because I got another one coming. Somebody say, take one. To your children, to your children's children, to everybody that you encounter. We've got to be giving the right message, people of God. God is to be feared. God is the only God. And when we get ready to get quiet with our testimony, God is not to be forgotten. All that He has done, we don't even tell our children. All that He has brought us through, we don't tell our children. But Moses gave this command to the people of God. He said, tell it to your children and your children's children. He said, repeat it to them while you're at home, or while you're away, when you lay down or get up. Tell your children. Our children are in trouble, but we won't tell them. They think that life is all sunshine and roses, because we won't tell them. There is nothing wrong with sharing your struggle, as long as you share your God. I want my child to know that every day has not been easy, but God's been there every single day. I don't want her to think that I'm some superwoman. I just serve God. And God provides for us. Tell your children and your children's children about the, don't forget God. If you don't tell them, the blood is on your hands. Because they can't repeat a testimony that they've never heard. How are your grandchildren going to know how far you all have come? How are the children in the community going to be able to look up to you for all you've accomplished if you won't tell it? How are the people on your job ever going to come to know Jesus if we won't tell it? Take one. God said, I'm going to give you what I said. Take one. Pass it down. Tell somebody about the goodness of Jesus. The doors of the church are open. If there's one here today that wants to give your life to Christ, would you come?